believe in miracles. Where you from? You sexy thing, you. I believe in miracles. She came along, you sexy thing. Where did you come from, baby? How did you know I needed you? How did you know I needed you so badly?
A couple months ago, the post-punk band Public Image Limited released a new album titled End of World. Now, I'm gonna be honest, even if I fucking hate John Lydon and find the Sex Pistols to be boring as fuck, I think Public Image Limited's earlier stuff, such as their self-titled album and Metal Box, were actually really good. The sound on this album was really unpredictable, which kind of fit John's shit vocal style and was quite unique compared to other post-punk bands. Unfortunately, their new album is none of this and is just this constipation-faced, IBS-having, toothbrush-haired fat retard rambling for about 50 minutes straight. Looking back on this track, I can say this is probably the most tolerable track on the whole album. That's not to say it's good, just the one I can listen to without feeling the need to shove my corpus spongiosum in the fucking paper shredder. This is actually the track that released as a single when they announced the album, and was probably a good move on their part to make us believe there would somehow be better tracks on the album. The lyrics here are meant to have historical themes and are referring to a place called Penge, which is apparently somewhere in southeast London, which I found out after googling it. In an interview he said that this song is meant to be a Viking epic, which can also be seen in the instrumentals to a degree. Even though the lyrics here are historical, they aren't really that interesting. I'm assuming they were just making this song with Viking aesthetics in mind and probably thought it was cool. Both the lyrics and instrumentals are painfully boring, especially with how repetitive everything is. Honestly, you could sum up this entire album as boring and repetitive, as you end up seeing in later tracks too. The song was also released alongside a music video which shows the band in the studio thinking that what they were making is actually good. These cunts actually thought they were cooking. Title track has to be good, right? Nah. The track starts with an actually fucking dreadful guitar tone, followed by John essentially parodying his vocal style on the early PiL albums. It sounds really ugly and not even in an appealing way like their early work. The riff sounds like it was made by some shitty local pub band, while John is there sounding like a drunken karaoke singer. The lyrics here, yet again another instance where they thought of aesthetics first, because John essentially just describes every post-apocalyptic media ever in a really uncreative manner as he feels the need to repeat the line, "End of the world," every few seconds. The end of the world! I just find it so ironic how this band that used to be known for being unpredictable has devolved into making something so repetitive and, well, predictable. This track showcases how the band for some reason went in the direction of producing instrumentals that sound more akin to pop music, and well, pop is a genre that should never really be paired with John's vocals. Honestly, the instrumentals aren't even the worst of it, they just don't pair very nicely. The lyrics are about, as the title suggests, a car chase. Can't really get any less creative than that. I'm confused as to why he felt the need to write a song about a car chase, but he did. The lyrics are horribly written as he constantly feels the need to shove in shitty rhymes that are nowhere. He also, for some reason, throws in what I assume to be random sexual innuendos at some point with lines like, "Smash and grab me, I'm pleasing." Smash and grab me, I'm pleasing! And, "Like the way they spread them apart." I like the way they spread them apart! Though, that could just be me misinterpreting them. This song, similarly to Penge, has a music video to go with it, which is equally as shit as the other one since it's just them in the studio again. I have listened to a lot of bad music in my lifetime, but this is just the worst song ever conceived by man. This is the first political song on the album, and having just one glimpse at the lyrics, I fucking knew I was in for a treat. This song is essentially John ranting about the woke agenda, and my god, some of the lines are actual fucking gold. He lists things such as banning bombs and saving whales and giving peace a chance as if they're inherently bad. Ban the bomb! Save the whale! Give peace a chance! Sure, those are pretty basic liberal politics, but how the fuck are you gonna tell me that banning atomic bombs is somehow bad? Does this cunt want the world to end so we can live out this shitty post-apocalyptic scenario he talks about in the title track? He spends the track just spouting random insults like stupid and sponges, as if that's the best he can come up with. I love when he says the line, all Marx and Lenin again.
All Marx and Lenin again.
Because, dude, I'd be fucking dead before this twat ever actually ends up reading Marx or Lenin. It's funny too, because the focus of the song is students, and I've never heard students discussing fucking Marxism in the classroom, for fuck's sake. He's clearly just going on some schizo rant again. Some other funny lines that I'd like to point out are men into women and back into men.
Men into women and back into men.
Because he's obviously complaining about trans people, but at the same time talks about them detransitioning as if they're bound to detransition, when that's obviously not the case and only applies to a select few reactionaries like to place focus on. And then there's all maths is racist.
All maths is racist!
Which is funny because I know what he's referring to. It's an article that talks about how maths doesn't promote creative thinking due to its focus on objectivity, not how maths is racist. I honestly couldn't care for the instrumentals on this track because it just feels like boring background audio for John to go on his silly little schizo rant. I hate how a lot of old bands are doing this sort of commenting on the current generation thing now as if they actually have something to add, like Tankard with their song Xfluencer.
Being a victim of Instagram. Your ignorance will be your fall from grace.
Now, I don't know how John expects us to not think he's racist like he tries to claim he's not in Being Stupid again. Since if you're familiar with his pro-Trump views, then you should already know what this song is going to be about from the title alone. He very clearly tries to support the view that Mexicans are thieves that don't respect the space of Americans in lines like, no one will keep their space, no one will respect your space.
No one will keep their place. No one will respect your space.
And go be a friend of the thief.
Go be a friend of the thief.
It's honestly just kind of gross to hear him speaking so highly of Trump's idea of the walls when he says, all of these walls so lovingly surrounding you as if people are obligated to be appreciative of them.
All of these walls that you find around you. All of these walls so lovingly surrounding you.
At least this track has a level of musicality with its funk-inspired instrumentals and John refraining from wailing like an idiot for once. Still doesn't make it a good track though, especially with the lyrics.
Hello, Flo. Fancy meeting you here.
They finally gained some self-awareness since this track is pretty awful. What the fuck am I supposed to say about this track? It's just John ranting about this girl called Flo is pretty awful since she smells of some shit while spouting nonsense like knickknacks and brickbacks and TikToks and chucky drops.
Knickknacks and brickbacks and TikToks and chucky drops.
I hope they're trying to put together some sort of dad rock song or whatever's going on here because it just really does not work. I also didn't need to hear John saying, I like you, in that tone of voice.
I like you. In the night I have the moon.
This song is pretty strange from the start, seeing as John tries to utilise what I believe to be auto-tune to no success whatsoever, seeing his vocals are already too off-key to be fixed.
I am human.
The lyrics are probably about Mark Zuckerberg or some shit, seeing as he mentions the lizard demon at the start.
The lizard demon.
He might be talking about some fantasy scenario since he talks about evil and weapons, but I'm genuinely not entirely sure what he's on about. I can say that the instrumentals are kind of decent at least, even if they are pretty repetitive since it's this relaxing synth track of sorts which I can kind of appreciate. I wonder if this track is about himself since that plonker is a massive clown already. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually was about himself since it doesn't specify who the clown is and just constantly repeats the rain keeps coming down on the clown again and again.
The rain keeps coming down on the clown again.
It's crowds of pain and clouds of shame.
Clouds of pain, clouds of shame.
So honestly, I'm just going to interpret this as being about how John Lydon is a fucking clown. I kinda like this one solo about halfway into the track that lasts a couple seconds, mostly because it's something mildly interesting in there to distract me from the otherwise boring instrumentals. fuck is a dirty, murky delight?
I won't do this and I won't do that and I won't eat fat and I won't talk that.
Fucking children's party song, Dennis the Menace sounding our song. What the fuck is this? It just gets to the point in this album where you're confused as to what they want to achieve, as it's very inconsistent. You'll have schizo-political songs 1 second, then weird ramblings like this the next. Is he trying to be funny? Does this cunt think he's the peak of comedy? Is he trying to make a message with this song? God, I fucking hate this album. Now this song is definitely about him, as he complains about how irritating people's opinions are of him. It's funny how he says, "You could not write what I write," because, yeah, I could, since many of the songs on this album follow the same formula of spouting random shite and then repeating a phrase over and over again. Oh look, you did that again here, where the second half of the track is spent repeating liars, fakes, cheaters, and frauds over and over again.
You're all liars, fakes, cheats and frauds.
And no, John, you are not a sexy baby. Have you seen yourself in the mirror?
Sexy baby.
You could not do what I do. Yeah, I could. I just start writing cow shite lyrics as if I actually have something to say, and then go on to talk shows about absolute dog wank and probably promote NFTs or whatever the flying fuck you're doing now.
I did an NFT drawing.
The instrumentals are just another shitty pub band sounding thing with this annoying sound effect occasionally thrown in. There is honestly nothing I can say about this track. It's probably the least notable here. The bass guitar is pretty prominent, I guess. He says mushy mush, which is kind of funny.
Mushy mushy!
I genuinely don't give a shit anymore. Finally, the last track. Apparently this track was meant to be dedicated to his wife who died of Alzheimer's, but unfortunately for her, this song sounds more like it was written as a joke. Some stereotypical Hawaiian instrumentals along with a retard repeatedly saying, "Hawaii, remember me."
Hawaii, remember me.
Fun fact, by the way, that NFT thing he did, that was meant to fund an Alzheimer's charity where all 5% of each NFT purchase would go straight to charity.
5% of that off the top goes into this Alzheimer's organisation. And
How kind of you, Mr. Lydon. In conclusion, if I ever catch you playing any of this shit on the Orcs, I'm throwing you out of the car and hoping you get run over by a 10-ton truck so Morrissey can make a song about you.
And if a 10-ton truck kills the both of us, to die by your side, well, the pleasure, the privilege is mine.
by the way, I'll tell you who should have directed that, Pistols. Ricky Gervais.